Hey up, me ducks. Welcome back to installment 8 of the North to South podcast. Coming live on the cloud or from Stoke-on-Trent. So the domestic season might be over, but we've got some stories from this weekend and what you're going to plan to see in the summer. Again, if you don't know who I am by now, I am the one and only CXJ or Craig James Key. And then in the red corner or the white corner today, we've got Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, Tom, please, mate. Yeah, Tom. Yeah,
I'm going to say his second name, but I don't know.
Like Tommy. My full name is Thomas, but my mates are supposed to call me Tom, so that's naughty, Craig. You're naughty.
So there you go. I've been told off. So Tom's a little bit hungover from this weekend. So what a better way to cure that hungover than to drink more and suffer more. So obviously, just quick run through. So if anybody's watching this at the start and thinks I don't really want to listen to Arsenal again, we're going to talk a little bit about Arsenal looking to complete an historic season in the Champions League final, but fell short. Crystal Palace chased the first European trophy. We're going to talk a little bit about the England squad this summer going to the World Cup. Liverpool, more controversy, a sacking and a player leaving. And then we're going to throw into there the new IFAB rule changes coming in at the World Cup. And obviously some of them will carry on into the next season. And then, as always, we'll finish with the hero, the player of the week, and the howler of the week. I will get that right one day. I promise. So let's jump straight into it. Champions League final, Saturday, the 30th of May. It was set. The stars, the lights, cameras, action. For Arsenal, it was heartbreak. For PSG, history. 120 tense minutes in Budapest. PSG regained their Champions League by beating Arsenal in a penalty shootout. PSG won 4-3 on penalties. It was 1-1 after extra time. Tom, what a horrible way to lose a final, or just lose a football game in general, but to lose a final. How are you taking that result?
Well, the game itself was an emotional roller coaster. It really was. I went to the pub to watch it, and the atmosphere in there was fantastic. There were lots of different supporters of different clubs in there, so it was great atmosphere, great banter. I think how Arsenal went and scored in the first 6 minutes, that was unexpected. Even watching the goal, we thought that had hit the side netting, and so it felt a bit like a dream. How we managed to score 1-0 so early, and then to keep that lead for such a long time, and then to give a penalty away. I always said that their left winger, who I'm not going to be able to pronounce the name, is Karabatchela.
Yeah, we get it. I don't say it either. So yeah.
But I said from the very start that PSG's left winger was their danger man, and he managed to try and get around Mosquera, and he unfortunately tripped him up. He fell over, and that was a penalty. And then Arsenal just then went even more defensive from 1-1. They basically play. The best thing about Arsenal, that I think the tactic was the right tactic for that game against PSG, and knowing how lethal they can be. Arsenal's structure and how compact they were for the whole game was just fantastic, sensational. But then you want them to have the firepower, basically up front as well, and that's where I think in the summer Berto and Mikel are going to look at perhaps changing some of the top three players up there, selling some and get some others. That's my overall analysis. I mean, PSG, fair play to them. I mean, I think they deserve to win, but I do feel a bit hard done by being Arsenal going to penalties at the end. And then, I mean, big respect for Gabriel, because we all said in the pub that like it's strange that like it's him who is asking to like take that fifth kick, and we can only assume that it's because other players actually like weren't as up for it as he was. So full respect to him. Like even though he missed, to like take that one, like sad, but we live to fight another day. Next year we'll hopefully go and get a treble or the quadruple. Yeah, come on, I love it.
I love fighting talk. And I love dreamers. I think it's amazing. No, I want to touch on two parts of that really. A bit about where you're saying Arsenal's structure was right for the game. I agree, but I don't think firepower will help that necessarily, because the way Arsenal played was more about the counter attack, which obviously we saw in that first goal. I suppose you could chuck on a prime Cristiano Ronaldo, prime Messi, Mbappe, and they wouldn't really have that firepower unless the ball was kicked long, really, or played out. So I think it's one of those where football needs to probably evolve a little bit, and where Arteta probably has a chance to become his own identity, like a Pep Guardiola kind of thing, where he brings in this kind of counter-attacking, but also stylish attack football. I don't know, but yeah, it feels like you can't have one without the other. But with PSG, it's like a David versus Goliath moment where you really have to hope your tactics work out, and you do get those glimpses, which Havertz had. And I'll be honest, I was one of the people who said, "Why would you start Havertz in this match?" And kind of eat your own words, don't you? I don't know how you felt about that.
Yeah, I mean, to go back on the sort of firepower, I think when you look at past squads of Arsenal and that sort of thing, and like, I obviously think of Henry and that sort of class of caliber, and like as you say, like so like that Messi, that Mbappe, Suarez, like just all these players who I think at the moment, I don't think we have one of those players in our squad who is up front there. Saka, I mean, like he used to be sort of almost that level, but then he hasn't been hitting his form that he did like the past 2-3 seasons. So I don't know. Like I think is the sort of quality of the players in form. I think. But it's not just them, obviously, because I think, for example, Victor, so he came on and he hardly got a ball sort of passed to him. So, like, you can't really blame him a lot for, like, not scoring because he didn't get past the ball, like, a huge amount. So I get what you're saying there as well. They were, like, another tactics. I think it's a sort of overall, they just have to find a balance, and I'm sure they'll take a lot of learning from that game at PSG, and try and incorporate it like into next season.
Yeah, I suppose for the owners as well, Arsenal owners will turn around and say, "How much more firepower do you want?" We brought in Madueke, which I'll be honest with you, I thought that was poor. Only because if you can't cut it out at Chelsea, again, I think he's one of the players who should have stepped up to take a penalty. But anyway, Madueke, you got Eze in, you got Victor, you got Perez in. I mean, that's three big signings, really, when you think about nearly touching the £150 million mark. I suppose I agree with what you're agreeing with me. I think sometimes it might be the tactics, and probably you could get more out of Gyökeres. Let's quickly go on to the penalties then. Eze, I mean, I feel absolutely heartbreaking for Gabriel because I don't think he should be stepping up for a penalty.
Yeah.
But Eze, I didn't realise how many. I don't think he scored a penalty in these last so many attempts. There's been a montage going around where he's actually quite that kind of ridiculous run up is just. It was just like in the final. I know it looks great if he gets pulled off and you're a hero, but sometimes you got to put your dignity behind a bit. But listen, a penalty is a penalty. Anyone who steps up, it could go either way. If he scored it, it'd be a bloody genius. But some good penalties, some amazing penalties by PSG, and some great saves by Raya as well. And I think it just come down to who had more luck. Let's be honest with you, who had more luck.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Raya, I think, is better at saves actually in the game than at penalties. He actually is known to sort of be not that, but not as good as what he is like actually during a game. I do think, yeah, Eze, I think he should definitely have done better. And yeah, baffled as to why other players didn't stand up and try and take the penalty in like front of Gabby, really. Is poor, I think, from Arsenal. That
I thought Zubimendi, I don't know if he was still on the pitch, but I thought Zubimendi might have taken one. He's got a good.
He was on the pitch, yeah. I think he was on the pitch.
Yeah. Anyway, it's one of those things where it must be horrible, and you can't, at the end of the day, you can't knock Arsenal for what they've done.
Yeah.
They've got there, and to take PSG to the penalties, regardless of how you play, is an achievement in itself. But the referee had a good game, and the referee kind of brought in some of those new rules that we're going to be talking about later on about time wasting. I thought the way he handled Saka was absolutely amazing. From a neutral point of view, you're probably going to think differently. But for a long time, as a Payne supporter, you don't get the whole 90 minutes, as we all know. And Saka, I mean, just before second half, was taking so long on that corner. The referee just blew it because he took that long. But that's what we're going to see more of in the World Cup. So I don't know if that was kind of the brief to stop time wasting. But yeah, I thought the referee had a good game.
Well,
you could say there was penalty shouts for either side. I know Arteta was very vocal about Arsenal's side, which I don't think the Madueke one. I think I listened to the BBC Sport commentary, and if you look at it, Madueke actually pulls the defender's arm down. Yeah. I do think it's, again, you get seen and given, you get seen and not given. So I don't think, obviously Saka was playing basketball and PSG's off at one point as well. Again, you see them given, you also see them not given. So I think either way, I thought the referee had a good job, especially the French football teams. They can be quite intimidating at times, and the fact that Arsenal held them for so long was a testament. Let's move on because we got a lot to get through. Next year, Tom, quickly, is it Arsenal's year for the Champions League?
What's that?
Next year, is it Arsenal's
year?
Yeah,
for sure, yeah.
Okay.
For sure. I just had one thing on the ref. I think he did okay for most of the game, apart from that corner thing that you said that he should have given that, but it was just at half time, wasn't it? When they were just about to go for the corner and they blew the whistle, and that is the most infuriating, just weird decisions by any ref that I've ever seen in my life.
That's what's coming into
this. Wrong.
That's coming into the new rules. It's 42 seconds.
I don't think that's right.
after the referee gave him 2 warnings to be quicker. On the last warning, it took him 42 seconds to get back to the corner flag. I mean, if you're looking at it from that way, I mean, if it was the other way around, you'd be saying something, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but if it's the thing is
wasting time.
Is extra time of like the first half, and like it's a goal scoring opportunity.
Oh, if it was a goal score opportunity,
so like it's an advantage to like Arsenal to like actually take the thing, and they then sort of say no, blow the whistle, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sakes,
that's
wrong. I mean, like I firmly think that's a wrong call.
Yeah. Well, if it happens straight up to the corner, then fair enough. But if you're going to give a grown man 2 opportunities and then he takes 42 seconds on the last opportunity, I think the referee has a duty to officiate the game and making sure we're not running into ridiculous time in the first half. Again, agree to disagree. One London team that didn't disappoint this week was Crystal Palace. They won 1-0 at Rayo Vallecano. Fantastic goal by Mateta. Great for English football. It would have been 3-3 if Arsenal won. And people don't realise the more English teams that win in these competitions, the better the rankings stand for English football. Get more money, more TV rights, but also more places in the Champions League. So I thought that was great. Did you watch the game, Tom?
I didn't watch the game. No.
This is top class podcasting. This is. Yeah, shame for Rayo Vallecano because I think they don't really get the spotlight as much. And I think since the Europa League and Conference League and all that changed its rules about teams dropping down, it's enabled these other European clubs to flourish, really. But another standout performance by Glasner, who's won 3 trophies in 12 months. I mean, that is, if he doesn't get a top job, I think he should be Liverpool manager personally. If he don't get a top job come the summer, then something is wrong because
especially with the key players that they've sold, and they still managed to do that. I mean, there's Gahey, there's Eze. I mean, especially the key players that the sort of Palace have sold, and then he still managed to get a trophy despite that. That's really good going. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a shame the Palace owner hasn't done more to keep him. Obviously, he definitely fell out, and he fell out quite long ago. So the fact that he stayed there is a good thing, really. Apologies to any rare Crystal Palace fans who may watch this. We are going to move on. That was probably the quickest segment we've ever done. We're going to move on to the big one this summer, where we all get hyped up for an England World Cup win, and we get left disappointed, very disappointed. So we touched, and we're a bit behind on this, really. But let's just bring it up. Key players who are left out of Tuchel's squad this summer is Harry Maguire, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's massive because Tuchel's. It's no secret that one of Tuchel's main assignments was to win a major trophy within his contract. To leave 4 players out who, most managers would be in the squad is quite ballsy. But maybe that's what England need, regardless of opinions.
Well, my take on that.
I was just going to say, Tom, is this ruthless management or tactical clarity, or is trying too hard to make a statement? I mean, what's your point on that?
My take on that is that it's probably a chemistry thing. I think Tuchel is very much about the chemistry and how the players are with each other in training, like basically on the way to the games, at the game. That's my impression, is that he wants a squad that is really gets on well together. And to be fair, that's what I've been sort of saying for like the past few England sort of squads, apart from the latest ones basically under Southgate is, I've always said that we have some world-class players, but then when they come together, they like just seem to not gel together. And so I think that might have been a good call by Tuchel. Yeah, actually, that's my view on it.
Yeah, time will tell, and I'm of the same opinion with Trent. I thought Gareth Southgate did a fantastic job, and I know a lot. Maybe sometimes I think to myself, "Am I the only one?" But growing up watching England, we were always disappointed. I remember the World Cup 2002 was the last time before Southgate coming where I actually had some high hopes, and obviously then we lost against Brazil. But that was the last time for me, because obviously I wasn't old enough to see Italian 90, I wasn't old enough to see 1996 where Southgate missed a penalty. But in 2006, I saw us miss out in 2008. I saw us get absolutely humiliated in 2010. Do you know what I mean? So I've seen all these, and when Southgate come in, I thought it did amazing. Some performances were rocky, but then again, you've got these world-class players. Why aren't they making those? I don't know. But for Southgate to get us to 3 tournaments where we were close to winning it, I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how Tuchel fares. I'll be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of England friendlies. I think a lot of teams, especially with how much money goes around the Premier League now, a lot of players pull out. A lot of players don't really give 100% because obviously they're scared of getting an injury. So it'll be interesting to see how England play in the summer. Am I optimistic? Probably not. I'm probably the least optimistic I was before Southgate joined. I remember when Southgate goes so far in 18, 22 and 24, I was really riled up for it. But I've kind of gone back to that kind of Roy Hodgson, Capello type era when like I'm not really expecting much. But maybe that's what we need to do as a fan base, not put too much pressure on them, because like you say, we need to look at chemistry and not, forward and tiptoeing through a defender and falling over.
Yeah, I mean, I the reason why I say chemistry is especially important for these tournaments is when they play for their clubs, they're playing for their clubs for like 38 games or more, and so they know each other much better. They know each other's banter. They get on. They are able to support each other through like tough times and the good times. Whereas in these tournaments, there isn't a lot of time for them to sort of get ready, get going, and win.
No, you're right.
Very, 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 very high pressure games, aren't they? So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go off course here, but I think that's why, like, when I was just saying then about when they play halfway through the season, they don't want to, get an injury or try too hard, or they don't join the squad. I think that's the major issue, because I think the football calendar now is so full that players really do have to rest themselves when they can. And I think that doesn't help when, like you say, they get to these England squads and they probably don't give 100%. They probably stay with the teammates they hang out with at the club level. But I think again, top-notch podcasting. I'm not prepared for this, but I think England's first game is on the 11th. I'm checking they aren't playing on the 11th. Unless you know, Tom.
I mean, I know that the 11th is like when it all starts, isn't it? But
yeah, I think it's the 17th against Croatia. So obviously they've got 17 days now. It's 2.5 weeks. Other than the Arsenal players, I think most of the team are there. I think they're very lucky to be in Group L, which means obviously they start a little bit later. I think that's a good opportunity for Tuchel to get these players getting some kind of bonding. They've touched down, I think, an hour ago in America. So obviously,
have they? Oh yeah, wow.
So they can have about 15 days. They can have about 15 days, which I think is quite a lot of time, really, especially having a world class manager like Tuchel. When I say world class, he's not a Southgate kind of manager who played at Middlesbrough. Managed Middlesbrough, So time will tell. What do you think of England's chances?
I mean, I'm always a forever optimist. So I think, unlike you, I always expect, always want teams, the teams I support to do well, and think, yeah. I mean, I don't think that they'll do. I think they'll get through to the final stages, and maybe even win. I mean, there's a lot of competition, obviously, like a lot, like France, Spain, Brazil, Argentina, Germany, like hell of a lot of competition.
Netherlands and Portugal look good this year as well.
Netherlands, Portugal, yeah. So you do have a hell lot of competition, but I think Tuchel will manage to build on what Southgate has done.
That's good.
Yeah.
We need that optimism because I haven't got a lot of it. I'm just miserable, that's why. Yeah, I mean, it's coming home anyway, isn't it? I'll definitely be singing the songs and having a few beers.
Coming home.
Yeah, I'll be having a few beers. I mean, it's late matches. Luckily, one of my annual leaves actually fell on the first game, so I'll be in the pub at 10 o'clock at night, ready for kickoff. Yeah, I'm off on the 18th, so yeah.
Nice.
So, leading on to that, is obviously the IFAB rule changes coming in for the World Cup. Some of these will be exclusive to World Cup, such as water breaks, but obviously a lot of these changes are coming in to stop time wasting at all levels of football. So the major one, I'll just run through some on, but I'll give the key changes ones, is no more goalkeeper tactical timeouts. Now we see this a lot. A goalkeeper will say they've pulled up because obviously their position on the pitch, they'll have to have treatment. And you'll see all the players go over to the side of the pitch for like a tactical timeout, as they call it. Teams will no longer be allowed to gather around coaches when a goalkeeper goes down injured. This follows growing complaints from managers where using goalkeeper injuries as unofficial timeouts. I see this a lot at Port Vale level, league level. So quickly, good, bad, Tom, is that maybe long needed? Because there's a lot of tactical timeouts from goalkeepers from either side must go down twice, and it slows the game down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one. I mean, the most recent example of that was actually not a goalkeeper, but it was the defender for PSG, Mendes. So he just went down, and there was no issue with him whatsoever. And it was obvious that he wanted to just try and waste time, and PSG were like still playing around him, and he was just still down. And when he got up, like about like a good 4 or 5 minutes after he went down, and was absolutely fine.
And that I think PSG players were annoyed at that because 2 seasons ago they brought in the rule, which has actually helped time wasting. Players just go down, water bottle guys come on, the physios, and then they would get up and play on. The rule change 2 years ago was, unless it's a yellow card, if anyone comes onto the pitch to give you physiotherapy or any doctors, you have to off the pitch for 30 seconds. And I think that has actually helped, because it basically saying a yellow card means there's been a foul, and if you need someone to come on to look after you while you've had a foul, and there's been no yellow card, you have to come off the pitch. So I do think that's helped, and I do think this might help as well. Just quickly, expanded VAR powers. So VAR can now intervene on fouls before corners or free kicks, mistaken disciplinary decisions, and more attacking phase incidents. For me, mistaken disciplinary decisions, I think, I'm surprised that wasn't one of the first things VAR did when it came out.
So that's basically to overturn
yeah, I mean, obviously this was before VAR's time. It was always, I remember the Gail Clichy and the Oxlade-Chamberlain incident for Arsenal.
Yeah, that
is just crazy. But fouls before corners and free kicks, for me, oh God, I mean, the game goes on for so long now waiting for everything to clear. we're going to have that many corners. An Arsenal game is going to be bloody dreadful. The game's going to be about 3 hours long. If we're going to have VAR getting involved every time there's a corner or a free kick.
Yeah.
That is a bit bizarre, but anyway, we'll see. It's just irony that they're penalising players for wasting time, and then VAR are just wasting the time that the players have been wasting. I'm not quite sure a more attacking phase instance, maybe that is around offside. I'm not sure. Faster restart, so now there's going to be a 5-second countdown for throw-ins and goal kicks, same as goalkeepers handling the ball.
Yeah.
Big fan of that one. 10-second substitution exits. I don't know how they're going to referee this, because the rule was, again, 3 or 4 years ago, that when a player comes off, they have to go to the nearest exit. And we don't see that anymore. Players are meant to go off the other side of the pitch, and then they would have to walk around. It become the referees couldn't manage it, because you're trying to watch what's going on the touchline. You're trying to watch any incidents. Then you're trying to watch the player coming off. It's impossible. So that kind of phased out a little bit when it was brought in, that a player should go off at the nearest exit. So again, I don't know how that's going to work. I think count to 10 and then give me a yellow card. Maybe. And that's one of the new anti-time wasting measures throughout matches. And the main one is obviously players covering their mouths during confrontations can now be punished while teams are walking off the pitch in protest for forfeit matches. First bit, a big fan of, because obviously the Vinicius Junior and Palestri incidents. If it's in confrontational manner, that'll be a card. And players walking off the pitch in protest, much against the Africa Cup of Nations, what happened with the Monaco being awarded the trophy over Senegal. Which ones are ridiculous? Which ones are you happy to see, Tom?
Well, I think the main ones is the ones to sort of minimize time wasting. So the 5-second for throw-ins and goalkeeper, I think that's a good one. I mean, the best games are the games where the refs are doing their job, but they try to minimize the amount of sort of to stop the flow of the game as well. So it's really important for the game to have flow. So I think that's probably one of the best ones.
While you're thinking, I'll just put it in to. I was going to ask you this question, but I'm going to go and involve you. I was going to say, are these is VAR getting too involved? I think they are. I think it's ridiculous. I think you should just be stuck to goal line technology, which isn't VAR, goal line technology, and offsides. I think when we had the incident with Fulham and Chelsea at the beginning of the season, when a player turned on the ball and we spent nearly 10 minutes and called a goal, I think that's ridiculous. Now we're going to be doing it for corners and free kicks. I mean, I stand by what I said. They're penalising players for wasting time, fair enough. But then they're just pulling that time back to waste time. Yeah, crazy. I do think they're overcomplicating it, but anyway, we'll see. Quickly, moving on again. We're nearly there. Tom is ready to fall asleep. Last week it was the heat. This week he's tired. God knows what will be next week. I mean, if anybody who's watching this wants to put in the comments below what we'll think we have to rush for, yeah, you're gonna like that. I can see it. Banter. Obviously, Liverpool have sacked Slot. Me and you, Tom, last week said we didn't think he deserves it. You can't win a trophy, get Champions League qualification the year after, and sack someone fairly. In an era where I've managed to get sacked too easily. But yeah, he's been dismissed. It's absolutely bizarre. Why did they wait a week after the Premier League finished? Not only that, his old assistant manager had signed at the end of the season to come next year. So now Liverpool have got to try to negotiate to terminate his contract as well. The whole thing is just unbelievable because he didn't have a proper send-off. 7 days later, gets the sack. I mean, for me, who obviously follows Liverpool, I think it's shocking. As much as I know some fans wanted him gone, the timing is terrible. The fact that now we've got to try to negotiate someone's contract who's never coached the club, makes me say something's going on behind closed doors, and it might be player power, it might be board, it might be Slot saying, "Listen, this is how it's going to have to be next season." From an outsider's point of view, Tom, what do you think it is, or do you think that's probably looking too far into it?
I think it's shocking. I think, I mean, I've always been quite clear that my stance on managers in the modern game is sort of wrong. The way that the owners, I mean, like I know that they own the club, so they do get to decide who comes and who goes in terms of managers and players. But there's been a big trend recently of managers not being given time to actually try to turn things around. I mean, he managed to get Liverpool into like a Champions League place, even though it was looking unlikely from sort of Christmas time onwards, which that's pretty good, really. I mean, the other thing I'd say is it's difficult because I do think that this transfers that Liverpool made were absolutely shocking last year. Now, how much of a say did Slot have in that, and how much was it the board who actually did that and didn't speak to Slot that much about which players he wanted? We will never know. So you just don't know sort of who makes the ultimate decision on these things. So it might very well be that Slot had limited things to say about those transfers, and then he was giving that to sort of work with. So arguably then you could say, well, Slot had a tough hand to like try and make work, you know. But it just feels wrong to me that especially in this circumstance where Slot came and won in his first year. I mean, like, he won the league. I mean, yes, I think that most of that was Klopp's team, and he set that up, and the culture was great when he left. But it's still a very good achievement for Slot to have come in and got you a league title then. So yeah, I would be on sort of lost for words really on that.
Yeah, very bizarre. But let's talk about who replaces Slot. I mean, the leading contender is Areola.
Yeah.
He might work out. Who am I to say? You know, we all have an opinion. When I just look at managers who've been in this position before, Postecoglou, Rodgers at Liverpool, when they haven't won major trophies of Liverpool's calibre. Yes, Postecoglou won the Celtic with the league title, but that's Scottish football, completely different beast. I understand he plays the same attacking football, but could he manage egos? I mean, Salah's not going to be there. And, you know, Canate's now, obviously, that's what's going to bench. And after Ballas, I'll bring it up now. Canate's leaving. So he could have an opportunity to bring his own players in. I just think, would the challenge be a bit too much for him? Could he handle the pressure? He's probably going to be more likeable than Slot because he's got more passion and he's probably more personable, which Bournemouth have said. But it's listen, we obviously don't know what's going on, and someone's got a plan somewhere. Obviously, Luis Enrique's name has been mentioned since Klopp was leaving. The fact that he's won the Champions League now, I can't see him.
I don't think so.
He has been very vocal about wanting to win in England. Is Liverpool that team? You know, I don't know. And Cesc Fabregas, which actually I'm reading this now off the latest, obviously betting, whatever you call it. I'm tired myself now, but when I was asked about it on Saturday, I had to say Cesc Fabregas got Como to their first Champions League qualification in Serie A. And I said straight away then, I think this type of football, that kind of smooth pass move football and closing down type of pressing style, which Ariola's got, would actually suit Liverpool a little bit more. And it's surprising I've seen his name there because I think he would be one of my picks. I don't know how his interview would go. I don't think any of those names on there, though, Tom, would worry you as an Arsenal fan. I don't think there's not like other than Luis Enrique, but we all know that's not going to happen. That's a delusion.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this about Slot. I think that he didn't have a lot of character, a lot of character, charisma. He seemed to be a bit too sort of calm for the job, or too sort of, I don't know, a bit.
You need a little bit of controversy on the touchline.
Yeah, that sort of thing, and I mean, especially Liverpool when like they've had big characters like Klopp, and then to go from that to Slot, and then I think that's that, and then the players as well. Like I said, what you said about the players, that it kind of feels like they might not respect him as much as they did Klopp, and then that's bad for the club overall. So I think that's probably why he's been let go. But then, who else is going to be able to come in and manage those big players? I mean, you do have Isak now. I mean, like, he's a very, very good striker. So I'm sure he's got an ego, like he does, because he left Newcastle in that horrendous way, didn't he? Like last summer. So like he's obviously got an ego and will be quite hard to manage. So I mean, Ariola's done very well for Bournemouth, but then that is a smaller team and doesn't have as many egos as Liverpool will. So it's that question, isn't it? Of which manager can come in and demand the respect of the players and make them work.
Yeah, and I think it's clear to see that the Liverpool hierarchy and sporting directors and football directors, it's good to see now that Xabi Alonso is never their choice. I think for Liverpool fans, it was like a fantasy moment of past player coming in, manage Real Madrid. But I think there's two parts to this. I think they've looked at him because he's very vocal about playing a 3-5-2. Maybe that's not the direction Liverpool want to go down. It says weird actually saying that. I think when you think probably the same as Arsenal, thinking of playing 3 defenders and 2 wing backs. But not only that, I think because he turned Liverpool down so quickly last time for Real Madrid, I think that's also a bit like we all do in life. Like, well, no, screw you,
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of proved. And I think it's very shrewd, actually, because I think they could have been more vocal about not giving Alonso the job, but they were kind of kept it quiet, as if to say, oh, maybe in the future. But I think right now he was never their first choice. And I think lots of Liverpool fans are going to accept that. Because that's the reality. Anyway, whoever comes in, it's going to be another start afresh and
difficult job, I think.
That work might not. So we're going to move on to our player of the week and the howler of the week.
No.
Have you had a thought about this, Tom, or do you want me to go first?
Difficult. I'm gonna go first. Yeah, I mean it's difficult. Yeah.
So my player of the week is a European winner this week, a titan of the game, and for me that's Jean-Philippe Mateta for Crystal Palace. Scored the winning goal, scored the goal that delivered Crystal Palace's first European trophy. I mean, goals become immortal, when they win you finals. So he's my player of the week. And my howler of the week this week is Howl of the week. I don't want to be too harsh and say someone who missed a penalty. I think that's really too harsh. My howl of the week probably is. Go with your player of the week, Tom, and I'll think about my howl of the week.
Yeah, so my player of the week is going to be very sort of obvious. Havertz, because he scored that goal against them in the 6th minute of the final of the Champions League, which was very unexpected, which was like we were all sat in the pub and thinking that it was a dream. so that was fantastic. Howler of the week, I think I am going to be harsh and say Eze, unfortunately, for that penalty kick, because because he was the first one who sort of missed, and I think at that level you've got to really try and put it away.
No, I agree. My hour of the week is the IFAB for giving more VAR powers to the VAR officials who are just for goal kicks and free kicks. And it's a joint one for Liverpool's time in the sacking a manager, waiting 7 days after the bloody end of the season, and losing Canate when you've got no defenders as well. Wow, someone is bantering at this club, going full on Man United mode here. Peak post David Moyes Man United era. That is all for today. That's really bad way of finishing it. But Tom, have you had a good time?
The league is over.
The league is over, and Arsenal champions.
The league is over. Arsenal are champions of England. Didn't quite make it champions of Europe, but they'll learn from it. They'll come back next year, and I see good things for Arsenal for like the next few seasons. Very good things, because now that they've won the league, I think that will lead on to more titles in the next few seasons. And they've got a lot of money for like doing that, so that means that they can look at doing transfers if they think they need to, and they can sell a few players as well to bring players in. So it's onwards and upwards for Arsenal. Great season. And then well done, lads.
Well done, indeed.
It's been nice to like chat to you, Craig, and to and hope that all the fans have enjoyed this podcast episode. Next few episodes are like going to be about England, so tune in and watch those, and then we will be back in August for the start of the next league. Next Premier League.
Yeah, and I echo what Tom said. I think keep an eye out on our social medias, because I think we're going to be doing more breaking news shorts, maybe around Arsenal transfers, Liverpool, Port Vale transfers, and that way what we could probably do, I'm not sure, me and Tom haven't spoke about this, so it's probably really unprofessional. We could probably time the podcast more around the England games. So obviously, we can discuss the games prior or after in short segments. So any feedback on what you want to see, what you want to hear, what you want to watch, let us know. We aren't dictators. We want to know what you want to watch, and we want you to keep coming back. So thank you very much, everybody, for this season. If you watch us on this podcast or the other one, it's been a great season, and we wish you well, and see you for the World Cup.
And I always forget this, but if you press the subscribe button, which should be here or here somewhere, press that, like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you very much.
Adios.